So we have news out of Rwanda where the government has gotten rid of over 1,000 colonial era laws. Now, for them to even have colonial era laws still on the books, I don't know why this didn't happen sooner. I believe every African nation need to look at their laws. If they have any attachment to racism, white supremacy, you need to get it off of your books. The laws should be put down by what the people and the government think how the country should be ran. Because these people would do things only for their benefit. And as we're going to check this out and let you know what the laws, they're ridiculous. So the parliament in Rwanda has stated that they was getting rid of laws that mandating race-based segregation and pay-as-you-go rules on alcoholic beverages. Now, if you could have laws on the books that say black folks and white folks can't be around each other in an African nation, that should have been one of the first laws that should have went a long time ago, because this is Africa. This is your land. Now, Germany had ruled Rwanda from 1900 to 1916, and it was later occupied by Belgian forces until gaining its independence in July 1962. Now, you know anything about Belgium, the worst person that killed more people, even more than Adolf Hitler, was King Leopold of Belgium in the Congo. They say he killed an estimated 10 million people in the Congo. A lot more than Adolf Hitler, but they don't like to talk about him. They like to hide him. You understand? And I believe the Congo should be asking for reparations from Belgium. You need to ask for your reparations. You do. Because that's the pain and suffering of the Congo. And the Congo is still in a situation today due to all the wealth that was stolen from the Congo, all the maiming, the murdering, the stealing of your ivory, the stealing of your rubber. They should pay a reparation. And my brothers and sisters in the Congo, you should start a reparations movement and target Belgium. They're the main ones you need to target. Just as much as I believe Rwanda should target Germany and Belgium for reparations for the things they've done during this time period. Reparations should be a global fight, not just a fight for us here in America. Every last one of us should talk about the hurt, pain, death, destruction that came to us through these colonial rule. And they should make recompense for what they've done. And if they're not going to make recompense, they shouldn't have any kind of freedom or enjoyment with the wealth that they have acquired off of black people. So you hear us here talking about reparations. You can start talking about reparations on the continent, just as much as in the Caribbean. You should be talking about reparations to the British government. They owe reparations to you for what they've done. France owe reparations. Spain owe reparations. It's a lot of people that owe reparations. You just have to start bringing up the conversation. Reparations could be a global conversation, a global movement that a lot of people had their hands in with the slave trade. Now, continuing, they said that earlier this year, the state minister for constitutional and legal affairs griped that the nation was still being governed by colonial law. He was saying these laws are not laws we should be proud of keeping. Now, the Minister of Justice, he said he couldn't agree more and was among the parliamentarians who voted to strike down the colonialist laws from the books. Now, the colonial laws were made for the colonial metropole, not for colonies. He said that they were brought to the colonies to be the legal framework to service the colonial state. Let's say the final step means that they were able to be governed by laws made for us, by us. You understand? So he said one of the leftover laws made it possible for the Catholic Church, here we go with that church again, the Catholic Church to acquire large swaths of land for its ministries. So where'd you go minister? Why are you in Africa doing it? You can carry yourself to Europe and do that mess, but you want to come to Africa and just take their land. Oh, I'm ministering to you, so I need to take all your land away from you so I can teach you the goodness of white Jesus. Let me steal your land. Now, in 1943, the Governor General was free to assign or grant up to 10 hectares of urban land and 200 hectares of rural land for religious, philanthropic, or scientific organizations. So basically, the hectares, if you want to translate them into acres, they was basically giving them 24 acres of land in urban land, and then they was giving them basically close to 500 acres of rural land. You understand? For this Catholic Church to do what they want to do. They'll state that another less statute required that alcoholic drinks be paid for at the bar instead of being put on the tab or credit. Giving away free drinks is also prohibited. That's another colonial era law. They say many other colonial laws reflected the racism of the time, including those that called for the separate living areas and communities for white people and Rwandans. They say a decree was signed in 1940 was related to hygiene standards in indigenous black constituencies and traditional groups. They say all aforementioned laws were authorized between 1885 and 1962, when Rwanda would finally gain its independence. Understand something. A lot of African nations gained their independence around the time period that we was fighting for our rights and our freedoms. Understand? So even civil rights was a global movement. It wasn't just a movement of it's just us here. A lot of those African nations got the independence around that time period. And that's a good thing. Now they need to remove all the colonial laws. You still have neo-colonialism, like France, still having some sort of ties to West Africa. They need to kick France out. They need to go. Let Macron run his country and stay out of there. And it's going to take you guys coming together for that to happen. You don't need Macron or no one that's considered Western to be there. You can do it yourself. And you don't need no one from the East to be trying to do anything either. Now, I'm not saying you can't work with other people, but it has to be for your benefit completely. And if it's not for your benefit, then you should not do any kind of deal. Remember, you have the resources. You have them all. They don't have the resources that you have. I mean, you have diamonds, platinum, you have gold, you have oil, you have uranium, which is one of the major components in nuclear weapons. You also run nuclear energy with uranium. I mean, there's so many things that you have that's just there. There's no reason for every nation in the continent of Africa should be making trillions upon trillions of dollars a year. And the moment that the people rise up and realize this is our resources and we're going to sell them at market value, and we're going to protect ourselves with the money we make off of this, trust me, I mean, it'll be a new day. And that's what they don't want. They don't want Africa to realize we're going to do for ourselves for once in our life. But also the biggest issue like we have here is in bootlicking, selling out Negroes. That's always been a problem, whether it's in Africa, the Caribbean, America, any Latin American country. We got to deal with them first. Like our brother Nat Turner, he dealt with them first. Like they did in the Haitian Revolution. He dealt with them sellouts first, but way before you start dealing with the white supremacists. And that's one of the major things that we have to get rid of out of our society. But leave me a comment, let me know what you think about the situation that happened out of Rwanda and get rid of those laws. Like I say, it's about time. I celebrate that. I'm proud of the brothers and sisters for looking more toward themselves and not being governed by what, some racists decided to put on the books.